Welcome to the Own It Powercast, the place to be when you get serious about making big changes and accelerating growth in your life and in your relationships. Finally create the life you've always wanted, living life on your own terms. Learn how to take your fear and turn it into powerful choices that will create sustained change. Now your host, Mary Baker.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the Own It Powercast, the place to come to get what you need to move yourself forward. Hey, it's Mary Baker, and welcome to episode 174, Owning Your Goals, Why What You Do Today Matters. Well, welcome back to this month, which has been all about finding fulfillment and a sense of purpose in our lives. Today, we're going to get into how the things you do today do and will impact your tomorrow. And good planning and living intentionally and on purpose means we take responsibility for all the big and the little things we do each day, each week, each month, each year. Oftentimes we don't realize how they will add up over time. And we want to ask ourselves, are all of, or at least most of these things, in alignment with where we want to be 5 years from now? How do we even know? Are we being upfront and honest with ourselves, or are we afraid to be because of what we might have to admit? That's what we're going to focus on today. So we're going to do a mini assessment, do some thoughtful looking on the inside, take a look at our lives for a moment, not to be hard on ourselves, but just take stock of where we are. So let's first do some talking about the reality of where you might be right now. And you can be anywhere on that continuum between on point and it feels like you're really moving towards your goals, or the other end, drifting, getting caught up in everything but what's going to get you there, and anywhere in between. Well, here are some things we might want to take a look at and give some thought to. Now, first, no one is going to come rescue you. I know we know this intellectually. I'm talking emotionally. Do we know this? Rescue you from your indecision, maybe your perfectionism, your fear of actually getting out there and living, of putting yourself out there. Wouldn't it be great if someone would just do all this for us? Pave the way, make things easier, and take away all the fears and all the mishaps that could happen. They could also take away all of our fear that maybe we're not enough and we can't do this. That's why we love fantasy, because we can control that scenario. When we really step out and do something in real life that is risky, that is the opposite of having control. That's taking a leap and living and trusting that everything in the end is going to be great, or at least work out okay. And we'll be glad we did it. You know, people can tell you a million times in different ways that yes, you are so talented. Yes, you can do this. No, you're not crazy. It's not on your heart for no reason. But until you are ready to grab onto that concept and receive it, to believe it, it won't work. And we all know that. Second, no one will set the boundaries for you. Oh, sure, life will help you out, quote unquote, by creating crises where you must do something like being laid off or a divorce or loss of a loved one or a health scare. But it's not always the best way to go, and we can't wait for those things to show up, nor should we. You must still be the one to say no to doing everything for others, perhaps, so you can have time to work on your dream. You have to be ready to say no to rescuing others financially, maybe, so that you can do your thing. You must grab some bravery to ask others for help as well. Remember, in every epic story, the hero or the heroine always has people to help them along the way, or they never would have gotten to the promised land. So we have to do these things ourselves. I want you to think for a moment about what your life will look like 5 years from now. If you can, if you're in a space where you can close your eyes and sit for a minute, that's great. If not, just see what comes up in your mind's eye. So 5 years from now, where are you? What are you doing? What has changed, if anything? In what ways is it wonderful? What have you learned in the past 5 years? About life, about yourself, and about what it took to get to a place where you're finally happier. Looking back, what seems so simple, like things you wish you could have done sooner, maybe you would have been happier longer, kind of thing. What are some of those things? What are some wonderful things 5 years from now that you see about yourself? Maybe you recognize and embrace some really cool things that might be hard to own today. It's easier to do it in the future. It hasn't happened yet. It's not real yet. Go ahead. Indulge yourself. Now I want you to think about 5 years from now, if you have not taken any steps towards the goals you say you have. We've been talking all month about owning your talents, owning your passions, owning your dreams. I want you to take a moment and think about how that's going to feel that 5 years have gone by. And when you're older, 5 years are really precious. And you haven't done anything. Or you've done fits and starts, but you allowed life to get in the way, or life maybe did get in the way. How does that feel? All right, so we want to think about taking responsibility for 5 years from now, let's say, in terms of things that we have actual control over. So we want to ask ourselves, what steps am I taking for my future? What actions do I take every day towards my goals, or not? And I want to look at several different areas. These are not all of them, of course, but I just want to get you thinking and assessing where you are and where you'd like to be. The things we do today, we probably don't think about the impacts 5 years from now, 10 years from now. We're so busy just getting through the day, getting everything done. But we need to stop every once in a while and take a look. Like, what about taking care of your health? We know this, and we roll our eyes, but we want to really know this, that if you want to have a great future, you got to take care of your mental, your physical, and your emotional health today. And tomorrow, and the day after that, and next Tuesday too. I mean, to be dramatic, there's no point in planning for a wonderful future if you're not currently taking care of medical issues. Are you eating well enough? Are you getting enough sleep? Enough exercise? Enough downtime? Enough play? We don't want to sabotage some wonderful things that you could have in the future because you're too busy paying the price of not loving yourself. Yes, I said it, not loving yourself enough today to focus on your health. Just enough. Incrementally. Getting better every month kind of thing. And falling off the horse and getting back on. Another area we want to look at is your money. Mind your money. We usually can't pursue our dreams if we're still in survival mode financially. Make sure you're doing whatever you can today to either pay down debt, get on a tighter budget, save for things that you want to do in order to feel fulfilled. Like maybe you want to go back to school, maybe you want to change jobs, or start that side business. Make sure you're doing whatever you can, and I know times are tough right now, but whatever you can, keeping your future that you want to have in mind. Even just making sure you have an emergency fund so that you don't have to scrap going back to school, let's say, because of something big and bad happening. Nourish your relationships too. We need our loved ones and our good friends the most, I think, when we're trying to step out and do something scary and crazy and vulnerable. Therefore, we need to connect now and let folks know, at least the safe ones, that we're going to need them. Like we're going to need their encouragement. We're going to need them to push us along when we get stuck and scared and tired, or probably when we're frustrated that it's not happening fast enough. That's when we need their support. And we need to support them too in similar ways. We need to also show up for them so that we can also nurture their dreams, and it's a balanced relationship. Talking about your dreams with safe people also helps to make them more real. Don't keep them all in your heart. Another area is watch your mouth. Like the way you talk about you today, your gifts, your personality, and your heart. Be careful how you talk about when things aren't going well, when you're not doing as well as you'd like to be. Be compassionate while you're being honest with yourself. Be kind also when speaking to others. Be hopeful when looking at the possibilities for your future. And you know this, say those affirmations as if they were already true. Speak commitment into your vocabulary. Say, I will do this thing, damn it. I am getting healthier. I am smart and strong. And I won't give up on my dreams, no way, no matter how, no matter what. And finally, use your gifts. Take care of your passions. Honor what's unique about you. Like my client said the other day, how the hell do we know we even have 5 years? Guys, we don't. What are you waiting for? Well, speaking of that, here's what you're no longer allowed to do. No more. First one is no more avoidance. No more avoiding the hard stuff. The people, the tasks, usually the things that we don't want to do, but what we want on the other side of difficult. We might have to set boundaries with people so that we can make some changes in our life. You might have to tell your partner that you want to change jobs because you're not using your skills where you are and you're miserable. But that may mean you have to take a pay cut. Detaching from other people's disappointment and frustration with us is so key if we're going to truly honor ourselves. Remember, you didn't get here by putting yourself first in a healthy way anyway, typically. You probably got here by putting your stuff on the back burner often and taking care of everyone else's needs instead. A note with that, a lot of times we don't mean to do that, but we don't like conflict, so we don't know how to negotiate with them, with our partner, let's say, in this example, their needs and our needs to find some healthy, loving compromises that work for both people. To people please instead, we're like, my stuff's not going to work because they really need me to make the money. So we don't even talk about it. We put it on a shelf and pretend it's not there. That never ends well, guys. Trust me. It means no more impatience either. You want things to come to fruition right away, I know, and that probably won't happen. Maturity means we do the footwork today, and we do it day in and day out, without that instant gratification that a child or a teenager wants because they don't want to think that far into the future. But you're old enough now to know that things you did 10 years ago, you're either reaping the benefits of today or paying the price. So keep reminding yourself that the payoff will come, but right now you have to do the building part. Maybe you have to go back to school first to finally do the career that you've wanted all along, and it makes you groan to think about that. Or maybe you need to start saving some money so that you can start that side business, but that's going to take a while. And that moves us into our next one. No more victim stance. No more. We can't be empowered and take charge of our life if we're still in grieving what has been unfair to us in life so far. Even if those things are all very real and true, you are ultimately in a place of choice around making changes. Either we hold the power, or everyone and everything out there does. It is our choice. Another one is no more caretaking. There's a difference between caring and caretaking. Taking care of everyone else's needs is a fabulous way to distract yourself from your own needs. The need to be proud of yourself, maybe. The need to feel joy, and the need to feel alive using your gifts and being in alignment with your passions. Focusing on others is an easy way to keep us from worrying about that vulnerability that's going to come along when we put ourselves out there. So we like to play it safe instead. And finally, no more being too hard on yourself. If you're going to be perfect, you might as well quit now, because trying to make things perfect is certain to stop you in your tracks as soon as something doesn't go just the way you want it to. Yes, you need to have your goals. Yes, you need to have your standards. But you also need to have a realistic point of view and some flexibility that understands that things can and will go wrong. Try to identify instead what would feel good enough and why it would be good enough. This is important. And maybe just for now, meaning you can always knock it out of the park later. Like maybe you have a temporary setback. Okay, that's for now. But in a couple weeks, it'll turn around, it'll get better. I can deal with that. Don't be so hard on yourself because it's not going perfectly to think that everything goes out the window. It doesn't have to. All of this is to say today that keeping an eye on ways you might be going sideways or stuck, instead of being in alignment with who you truly want to become, is so important. Because all those seemingly little things that don't seem like a big deal in the moment pile up over time. Some are even compounded over time. And we need to also look at some sabotaging behaviors that aren't so obvious, like avoidance and victimhood and perfectionism. I think that if we keep an eye on these things, tweaking and making better as we go, not only will we increase the likelihood of reaching our goals, but also by taking responsibility for things along the way, we can feel good and confident. I think even more relaxed and motivated, and maybe even happier. I think it has a lot to do with not having that internal fight going on, where we don't feel congruent, because we're not really doing things to help us to get where we really want to be. When it feels clean and real, it feels better. That's the journey, folks, and it does matter. So today we got into how the little things we tell ourselves, what we do daily and weekly, and how we see things about ourselves add up over time, even if they seem insignificant in the moment. Just like those 5 pounds didn't come on overnight, our goals will come to fruition slowly over time if we can make sure what we have going on in our life is making that future possible. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you found some useful things in our assessment to see where you are right now and where you can start working on some things and making them better. If you don't already get it, go to the show notes at ownitpowercast.com and sign up for the newsletter. It comes out each Tuesday. That's where you get the bonus downloads from the episodes. All right, so pay it forward. Keep focusing on you, and I'll see you next time.
We hope you took away some useful insights and tools you can begin using right away. If you did, please leave a positive review and share on your social media. Because could you imagine if everyone in your life really got it together? Remember, own it now, so you can really own it later.